The Denver Broncos took a chance on rookie quarterback Bo Nix in last year's NFL draft, using their first round pick and bringing in an older rookie quarterback that a lot of people didn't even really consider a first round talent. However, in Bo Nix's rookie year, he competed for the Offensive Rookie of the Year and led the Broncos to a playoff berth. And during 2025 free agency, the Broncos have had a very sneaky good free agency, bringing in players like DRE GREENLAW, Talanoa HUFANGA, and Engram. One of the biggest holes on the Broncos offense last year was their tight end position, so getting somebody who's been able to rack up receptions the way Engram has the past couple years, I think will be very valuable to Bo Nix and make his life a lot easier. And the Broncos defense was already very good last season, and bringing in two players like DRE GREENLAW and Talanoa HUFANGA on pretty affordable deals because of their injury history, I think is just the moves that this team needed to make, and I think they're a good draft away from being able to compete in a very good division in the AFC West. I want to give a big shout out to Bronco1222. He's been a fan of the channel for a long time, and back in the Madden 24 days, he used to always ask for a Broncos rebuild, and I never got it done for him, but I'm getting it done for you today. If you have any teams you'd like to see me rebuild in the future, leave it in the comments. You can get put in the video just like this guy, but for now, please enjoy. So here we sit with the current roster. We have Engram added to the offense. I would say easily the biggest hole in this offense is going to be running back. I imagine if they want to get Ashton Jeanty, they're probably going to have to trade up in the draft, but there are a lot of running backs in this class. I'll probably be taking Ashton Jeanty for this video. And then defensively, Nik Bonitto had a breakout year as a pass rusher. Hopefully we can develop him into one of the better pass rushers in the league. We had Talanoa HUFANGA and DRE GREENLAW to the defense, and I think this defense is just a couple pieces away from being one of the best in the league. And most of the free agents that are available here have already been signed in real life, so I'm most likely just going to leave this alone and let these players go to whatever team they end up on, and we'll go ahead and hop into the draft. So let's go ahead and hop into the draft. I pretty much already know what I'm going to want to use my first round pick on. Draft order is not perfect. It actually is decent though, and I did make sure that we of course have the correct pick. So let's get to pick 20. Let's see who's going to be available at our pick, and it is looking like Ashton Jeanty is going to be available for us here at pick number 20. So we're going to go ahead and take him. If there is a world out there where the Broncos draft Ashton Jeanty, I think they will easily be a playoff team. Bo Nix will have plenty of weapons to work with, and having somebody to rely on in the ground game like Ashton Jeanty with a good defense on the other side of the ball, I think they're basically a running back away from being a guaranteed playoff team again. So we're going to go ahead and use our first round pick on Ashton Jeanty, ranked 3 in the class and has hidden dev, of course. And then in the second round, I think we're going to go with Tez Johnson. Our receiving core is pretty good, but bringing in somebody with elite excel, elite agility, elite speed, especially with Courtland Sutton being on the older side and probably going to be regressing soon, bringing in a young receiver that we could develop will be very helpful for the future of this team. So we're going to go with Tez Johnson in the second round. And then in the third round, we're going to go with Javari Ritzy out of North Carolina. Try to add some more depth to this defensive line. A finesse moves, B block shedding. He's probably not going to do much, but having a good young player to rotate in on the defensive line can't hurt. Ranked 190 in true value, not the best value pick there, but we're going to let the CPU handle the rest of the draft, and we're going to hop into year 1 of this rebuild. So here's how the roster's looking. Going into year number 1, we added Ashton Jeanty into the backfield, and if we can turn him into the running back that NFL fans are expecting him to become, I think we could have one of the best offenses in the league. We are going to have to find a way to replace Courtland Sutton pretty soon. Hopefully we'll be able to do that with Tez Johnson. I don't imagine that's going to be the case though. And then I would like to make this offensive line better in the future as well. Defensively, I do think we're going to need to upgrade Jonathan Cooper eventually. I do like having Nik Bonitto coming off of one edge, but I would like somebody better than Jonathan Cooper coming off the other edge. But having a good edge rusher, some good linebackers, a very good secondary, this should be a very good defense this season. So let's go ahead and let's get this first year of the rebuild started. Let's get to the midseason and check in with how the team is doing. So we're currently sitting at 4-3 at the midseason, coming off a win against Dallas and the Kansas City Chiefs. Our offense is kind of middle of the pack in the league, and our defense is struggling right now. We're pretty good against the run, but we are struggling against the pass, which is honestly the opposite of what I would expect out of our defense. I'm really struggling to figure out what the good 3-4 defensive playbooks are this season. So we're going to keep testing a couple of defensive playbooks out until our 88 overall defense starts playing the way it should be. Bo Nix is off to a decent start to the season. He is throwing too many interceptions. He has 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 7 picks. If he can lower these interceptions, these would be great numbers. So we just needed him to have a slightly better second half of the season. And Ashton Jeanty isn't doing too crazy as a number 1 back. He has 120 attempts and is averaging less than 4 yards per carry and doesn't have a single touchdown on the year. Courtland Sutton has a good stat line though, almost 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. Marvin Mims with almost 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. And I would like to get Engram a little bit more involved. Maybe we play him as like the backup slot receiver or something in the future, but 26 receptions out of him. He has 5 touchdowns as well. I will take that. And we're doing decent generating pressure on defense. We have 5 sacks out of Nik Bonitto, but then DJ Jones and John Franklin Myers are tied for second in sacks with 2. So we definitely need to find a way to get Jonathan Cooper more involved because he has 404 snaps with only 1 sack so far. Let's see what players we need to re-sign here at the midseason. We need to re-sign Nik Bonitto. I forgot to give Evan Engram his contract. I'll go ahead and make sure that that's right. We need to re-sign Courtland Sutton, Zach Allen, Jaquan McMillan, John Franklin Myers. Not too many crazy important names, but a few players I would definitely like to bring back, including Nick Bonito. We're going to give him a 5-year, $105 million offer, and he's excited to re-sign and stay with the team. I went ahead and fixed Evan Ingram's contract. Now, I don't know if I want to re-sign Courtland Sutton, especially not to a 4-year deal with him already being 29 years old. We'll definitely look back at this at the end of the season after he regresses a little bit, and if he's asking for a little bit less money, I definitely will bring him back. Zach Allen is asking for a lot of money. If he ends up having a pretty good season, I'll consider bringing him back, but I don't really think we need to be paying him like $22 million a year right now when he's 28 years old and only an 85 overall. Jaquan McMillan is a starting corner for us right now. He's only 25 years old. I would like to keep him around for longer, so we're going to give him a 3-year deal worth $13.5 million, and that's enough to bring him back. And then I honestly think we're going to leave the rest of these players till the end of the season and see who we might want to bring back then. So let's go ahead and get to the end of year 1. I feel like we're off to a pretty good start. We did start off 2-3, but we beat 2 very good teams here before week 8, so hopefully we can have a winning record and sneak into the playoffs here in the first year. And we finished year number 1 11-6, come in second place in the AFC West, and find ourselves in a wild card playoff game. JJ McCarthy threw for just under 4,000 yards, threw 36 touchdowns to 12 picks, which definitely means he had a better second half of the season, which I will definitely take. Hopefully more of that will carry over in the next season. We can start off hotter, and these numbers will look a lot better. G&T didn't really pick it up in the second half of the year. Didn't eclipse 1,000 yards, averaged 3.5 per carry, and only had 2 rushing touchdowns. And I'm using a playbook that favors the running back. Courtland Sutton with a 1,200-yard season, 5 touchdowns, 1,000 yards out of Marvin Mims and 11 touchdowns. Vele got 800 yards and 12 touchdowns. And Evan Engram with almost 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think with the tight end play that the Broncos have had recently, they would gladly have somebody go for 60 receptions, 600 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Defensively, Nick Bonito finishes with 9 sacks, 5.5 out of Jonathan Cooper, which means he did have a better second half of the year, but still just not very efficient. 5 sacks out of DJ Jones, 4.5 out of John Franklin Myers, 7 interceptions out of DRE Greenlaw. That might be enough for him to go up to superstar dev. 5 out of Brandon Jones, 3 out of Riley Moss, 2 out of Alex Singleton, Pat Surtain, Jaquan McMillan, and Chris Abrams-Drain, and then we got 1 out of a couple other players as well. Your MVP this year is going to be Patrick Mahomes, a big shocker there. Offensive Player of the Year is also going to be Patrick Mahomes. All right, and Defensive Player of the Year is Chris Jones. It's just going to go to our division rival every time. That's good to know. We did come in 3rd with DRE Greenlaw. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Xavier Restrepo, who went to the Titans. We came in 5th with Ashton G&T. Defensive Rookie of the Year is going to go to Denzel Burke, who went to the Jaguars. You know, it would have been nice to win at least one award, but we do find ourselves in a playoff game against the Bengals. We will be playing in Cincinnati, but we are higher overall than the Bengals by 3. They had one of the best offenses in the league, but a pretty mid defense, and we had a pretty mid offense, but one of the best defenses in the league. So I think this is a fair matchup, but with us being as high of an overall as we are, I do think this should be a winnable wildcard game here. And we actually do beat the Bengals 34-31 in a shootout. And we have to take on the Kansas City Chiefs here in the divisional. This is probably where our playoff run ends. They have the #1 offense in the league and a pretty good defense as well. Or not good, but a pretty decent defense. And they went 13-4 and have a 90 overall team. So let's send to the AFC Championship and let's get this loss out of the way. And yeah, we lose by 10 to the Chiefs. That's okay with me. I will definitely take getting a playoff win here in the first year of the video. It actually looks like the Eagles are going to go back-to-back like they're on the cover of Lethal Weapons, win another Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts is going to get another Super Bowl MVP. That's not really what you like to see, is it? At least the Chiefs didn't win it. I will take that. So Ashton G&T is going to have superstar. He does have negative morale after the mid-year that he had, but I do think that's fair. We just need to get him going and starting to develop better than he did this season. DRE Greenlaw actually did not go up to superstar, but Brandon Jones did. I really don't know why that's the case, but I think this season we need to try to beef up this defensive line. Maybe beef up the offensive line a little bit more as well, and then maybe find a Courtland Sutton replacement. But we're off to a good start. I will definitely take getting a playoff win in the first video. I think maybe this next season we just use the Chiefs playbook, which I know is lame, but we'll get Evan Engram more involved. Bo Nix will put up a better stat line, and then Ashton G&T won't have as much of a workload as well. Now, Zach Allen, I just don't feel like he had a good enough year for me to be paying him $23 million. I think this is a pretty replaceable player, so I actually do think we're going to let Zach Allen go in free agency. Courtland Sutton asking for about $15 million a year. I just don't want to extend him for 3 years on that. I would give him a 2-year deal worth this, so I'm going to offer him 2 years, $31 million. And he's not interested in signing. That's okay with me. I don't really want him back that badly anyways. Don't get me wrong, I do really like Courtland Sutton. I just don't see a reason to bring him back. Speaking of, I'm wearing the wrong jersey. Kind of forgot I had this. Yo, I need a haircut. John Franklin Myers is kind of the same situation as Zach Allen. I think we could replace him, and he didn't have the craziest year. However, he is asking for significantly less money. Again, I just don't want to bring him back on a 3-year deal. I'll give him a 2-year deal worth $33 million if he accepts this, and he also wants to test out free agency. It does suck we're losing this many players. However, I don't think it's going to be the worst thing for the team. I think we're going to let Alex Singleton go as well. We have Drew Sanders to come in for him. So let's just try to hold on to as much money as we can, and let's save it for free agency, potentially bring back some of the players we lost, or potentially upgrade some of the positions that we need to fill. See, we could bring in Khalil Shakir. He's not the same type of receiver as Courtland Sutton whatsoever. I also wouldn't hate bringing in somebody like Jameson Williams who could play on the outside and be a burner. So we're currently tied for the leading offer for Jameson Williams. I really don't know if we'll get him or not. If we don't, it is going to start getting sketchy because I don't really know what our backup plan is. And then we offered Grady Jarrett a pretty bad deal just to try to replace John Franklin Myers and Zach Allen. If he doesn't re-sign, I think we could replace him in the draft, but I would really like to get Jameson Williams. So let's send these offers through. We do not get Jameson Williams. Nobody's offered for Grady Jarrett yet. And Courtland Sutton is still available. We were able to get to his top offer while not offering too much. So I am going to send this offer through. Maybe we bring back Courtland Sutton here. And we actually do not. No other teams have offered for Grady Jarrett yet. I think we're just going to kind of accept the hole that we kind of dug ourselves in here, and we're going to get into the draft and just try to see what we can do. It's definitely getting a little bit scary though. Losing that many players and not being able to replace basically any of them in free agency is going to be a problem. Thank God we drafted Tez Johnson last year though, because if we don't draft a receiver this year, we should be able to make do. So as of right now, Marvin Mims would be the wide receiver #1. Kreutz will end up being a starter this season, so I'm glad we drafted him when we did. And outside of losing Courtland Sutton, I do think this offense could look a lot worse. Defensively, we actually did get Grady Jarrett, so if we could bring in like one more offensive lineman through the draft, I do think our defense really didn't take much of a hit. And even if we don't, having Jonah Ellis starting on the defensive line, I don't think will be too much of a problem either. So I don't really know what the game plan is going to be for the draft. I mean, we could try to use our first round pick on a receiver. We could trade our first round pick for a receiver. I really don't know what the game plan is here. I have zero game plan. I almost wouldn't hate drafting a tight end at some point and then making Evan Engram rotating in as a slot receiver. And then so we have somebody else playing tight end and then Evan Engram coming in and playing in the slot. I wouldn't hate doing that. But let's just see who's going to be available here for us at pick number 25. I definitely didn't do my best job focus scouting this year because I scouted interior offensive linemen. However, there's a top 5 center not projected to go till round 2 to 3, so that's always good to know. And there's also a top 5 talent right guard that we could take right now. I just don't know if the value is there position-wise with how many holes we have on this team. I feel like there will be more offensive linemen like this in years to come. And if Jenkins falls to us in the second round, that would be great. I mean, he's projected to go at 59, so there is a chance. And if he doesn't, we could always get Kirkland. But I would like to get Jenkins because we could probably move him or the guy we drafted last year out to guard. I might take Timmy Weston. This might not be as good a value as the offensive lineman, but he's only 21 years old with great strength, A, block shedding, B, awareness, B, play rec, A, tackle. He's basically a pure run stopper, but we need some help on the defensive line. If there's not a good receiver available, I think Timmy Weston's going to be our first round pick. Or maybe we even trade back. I don't know. There's really only 2 decent receivers, and they are pretty good. I don't know. I think I like our chances better drafting another tight end and then rotating Evan Engram in as a slot receiver. I think we're going to go with a D tackle. He's technically a defensive end, but we'll move him. He'll be playing in a 3-4 D line. So we're going to go with Timmy Weston. I don't think the true value will be great. 86, so it was actually a lot worse than I expected, but I think you'll have hidden dev. Wow, that was a whiff. That was a big whiff. And both of the top 5 offensive linemen did get taken, as well as the good receiver. So it is looking like I may have messed up. But you know what? We're going to take a chance on a tight end. Troy Woodyard, not the craziest physicals, but he has really good skills. In a lot of these A to C's, if a couple of them can just be A's or B's, I think he'll be really good. We need him to have a dev trait. Troy Woodyard, 47 in true value, so that was good value for the pick. He has hidden dev, and I'm going to make Evan Engram the starting slot receiver, so Troy Woodyard is basically going to be a starting tight end. I think this is going to work out. And then I genuinely just don't like this draft class, so I'm going to accept this trade from the Colts, get their 3rd rounder for next year and their 5th from this year. I'm going to trade this pick away and just let the CPU have the rest. This draft class is booty, and I've been doing a terrible job in this draft, so let's just hand the rest of the CPU. Let's get an extra pick for next year, and let's forget that this ever happened. I do like the pick we made with the tight end, but my first round pick was just such a whiff. I was really just banking on him having a dev trait and drafting for need, but I should have just taken that top 5 guard while he was available, honestly. 72 overall isn't terrible. We can try to make him a starter and just pray he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, which isn't very likely. The tight end we got is a 74 overall. I do really like that pick. And then the CPU got us a 72 overall corner. So definitely not the worst draft, but probably pretty close to it. So here's how the offense is looking for year 2. I do think we definitely downgraded a little bit, but we're going to have Evan Engram starting as the slot receiver, and Woodyard's going to come in and be basically our starting tight end. And then defensively, we're going to give Weston a chance to start on the defensive line. So I guess let's just go ahead and get year 2 underway. We definitely got worse this offseason. We sit at an 86 overall right now, so I don't really know how this season's going to go. We did mess with the playbooks a little bit. So hopefully we're sitting at a pretty good record at the midseason. Let's go ahead and get there and find out. All right, and we are 1-6 at the midseason. We do have the 5th offense in passing yards. Outside of that, the team just sucks. So that's great. Let's try to figure out what the problem is here, because we are not that good of a team, but we are not 1-6 level. Bo Nix is playing decent, has almost 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns to 6 picks, so I definitely don't think he's the problem. Ashton Jeanty averaging over 4 yards a carry. Doesn't have many touchdowns, but we're in a way less run-heavy playbook, so maybe we just switch back to the run-heavy playbook now that he's kind of locking in. Troy Woodyard is actually our leading receiver as of right now. Evan Engram is second, so our 2 tight ends are playing great, which is what we wanted, and I really want Woodyard to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I don't think the offensive playbook is working out, so I don't really know what the play is here. And then Jonathan Cooper is actually leading our team in sacks right now. We need Nick Bonito to step it up. You know, it just kind of seems like everybody's just kind of playing mid. Nobody's playing great. But let's see who we need to re-sign here. We need to bring back Brandon Jones, Marvin Mims, Riley Moss, Drew Sanders, Evan Engram, and outside of that, not too many important players. Let's start off with Brandon Jones. He recently hit Superstar. I would love to bring him back on a 3-year deal worth $40 million, and he's going to accept. Marvin Mims is basically our wide receiver 1 right now. We'll try to make sure and get him right. We're going to give him 3 years, $30 million, and he's going to resign. Riley Moss, a young 82 overall corner. We're going to give him a 3-year deal worth $21 million, and he's going to resign as well. We'll bring back Drew Sanders. He's a starting linebacker for us currently. We're going to give him a 3-year, $16.5 million deal, and I'll gladly pay Evan Engram 2 years, $24 million as well. So we basically got all the important re-signings out of the way at the midseason, so we should have some money next free agency. Clearly, we need to look forward to next season because we just suck right now. But I didn't want to move on from any of our older players because I do think we're capable of playing better than we are right now. What I'll probably do is I always send to week 13 manually and leave it out of the video to set the focus players. I'll probably sim a few weeks getting to week 13, and if we still suck with this playbook, I'll probably change him before the season ends. But if we get a few wins up until then, I'll probably just leave it the same. But I'll see you guys at the end of the season. Hopefully we finish a little bit better. So we end up finishing the season 8-9, which I will take after starting off 1-6. I wish we could have just started off a little bit better, at least like just 3 wins, because then we would have had a playoff spot. We also lost to the Panthers in week 17, which could have also helped us get into the playoffs. I did end up switching the playbooks back. It is looking like I probably shouldn't have switched the playbooks, but let's see how everybody played this season. Bo Nix threw for 4,100 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. Definitely not bad at all. Ashton Jeanty goes for over 1,000 yards this year, averaged 4.5 per carry and got 15 touchdowns, so it is looking like we can kind of rely on him to be one of the focal points of the offense now. Evan Engram goes for 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Marvin Mims, almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. Bailey goes for over 800 yards and 9 touchdowns, and our rookie tight end, 750 yards and 4 touchdowns. I will definitely take that. Nick Bonito did have a better second half of the year. He finishes with 7.5 sacks, but just we need so much better out of him. 7 sacks out of Grady Jarrett, 5.5 out of Jonathan Cooper. I would like to get a really good pass rusher in one of these upcoming years. 4 picks out of Greenlaw, 3 out of Sanders, 3 out of Moss, 2 out of McMillan and Hufanga, and then 1 out of a decent amount of players. Your MVP is going to go to Josh Allen. Offensive Player of the Year is going to go to Lamar. Defensive Player of the Year is going to go to TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to the Browns. We didn't win it. I guess Woodyard did kind of take a step back in the second half of the season. It's going to go to Davon Shipp for the Browns. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Shane Smith for the Ravens. We did come in 4th with Timmy Weston, but unfortunately no dev up from not winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know. I kind of just want to forget this whole season ever happened. I drafted like shit. Our free agency class was shit, and then we played like shit. So let's just pretend that never happened. Clean slate. And the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl 44-14 against the Rams. Cool. You know, the Chiefs are already broken in franchise, but then whenever you play franchise, it also makes your division rivals just better every year. So expect the Chiefs to win all the awards and all the Super Bowls every year. So Evan Engram goes up to X Factor. He is starting to regress, so that is pretty big. We also lost Colton Miller, so we need to get a new offensive tackle. And then defensively, Jonathan Cooper goes up to star dev. This defensive line just needs a lot of work. So right now, offensive line and defensive line, and then getting a receiver is going to be our priorities. Let's go ahead and see if we did miss out on any re-signings or any 5th years, and then we'll get into free agency where hopefully we can kind of make a splash because we have $100 million to our name. So we actually have the 5th year for Bo Nix. $43 million is pretty expensive, but that's probably about what I'm going to have to pay him when his contract comes up. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up and try to push off his contract one more year. With our offensive line getting worse, I am going to bring back Ben Powers for one more year just to kind of have a safety blanket at the left guard position. And then we're not going to bring back Grady Jarrett. I think we're pretty much going to let everybody else here go. We're going to have a lot of money to work with in free agency. So we could draft a receiver, we could draft a pass rusher, but if one of those positions could be available, because even though Jonathan Cooper went up to star dev, he's just not very good in this game. We need an insane pass rusher. And of course, there's one available. but why would he want to play for the team? He's already asking for $41 million per year, and he's not interested. So if we were to offer him 6 years, $300 million, we're only tied for the top offer. So there's no point in even doing that. So we're again probably going to have a pretty terrible free agency. We're like no receivers available. The only pass rusher available is Aiden Hutchinson, and he wasn't interested in playing for the team. So we're going to go for Taylor Moton, just try to get a tackle for now so we don't have to worry about drafting one this year. And we do get him, so that definitely helps a lot. And we really need to draft a receiver in this year's draft. I think we can address pass rusher in the future. I think Benito and Jonathan Cooper are decent enough to kind of make do right now, but our receiving core needs a number 1 guy. And at least whenever we do lose Evan Engram and he continues to regress, we have his replacement that we drafted last year, and he's shown that he can be pretty good in the NFL. So thankfully, we at least address the offensive line. So if we do get a receiver, this offense should be back to being pretty decent, especially now that Ashton Jeanty is playing the way we expect him to. This defensive line is actually so bad. There are a few round 1 talent receivers in this draft class. Most of them are round 1 to 2 talents. There is only one actual round 1 talent. I do want to see where this guy goes because this is definitely who we're going to need to draft, Jabari Hull. And you know, he's not actually projected to go until about 29 to the Bills. With this being the player I want the most, I wouldn't hate trading back a little bit and trying to build some extra draft capital. So when we get into the draft, I'm going to see what teams are willing to give up for our pick because we're picking at number 13 this year, where we could get a pretty good defensive lineman. But I think if we could trade down and get extra capital, we could also get a good defensive lineman in one of the later rounds. So let's hop into the draft and let's see what value we can get out of our pick if we move down like maybe 10 spots or so. No teams are really offering us to move down, but they're offering us first rounders for the next 2 years. So I'm probably gonna have to manually trade down, but teams are clearly very interested in this pick. The only good offer I got that included a pick with this year is Philly. Now I maybe could accept this and then try to trade back up and jump over the Bills to get the receiver. Actually, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to move down to 30. We're going to have the Eagles first round pick next year. And I'm probably going to sim a decent amount of picks, probably right about to where the Bengals pick. And if the receiver is still available, I'll trade up with the Bengals, jump in front of the Bills, and then we'll still have an extra first rounder for next year. All right, so the Bengals did not take him. We're going to trade up with the Steelers here. We're only moving up 2 picks, so we shouldn't have to give up too much value. So we're going to give up pick 87 to move up 2 spots here, jump over the Bills, get our receiver. We have an extra first round pick for next year as well, which is probably what we could use to trade up to get a really good pass rusher next year. And we're also going to manage to get Jabari Hull this season, a round 1 talent out of Texas A&M. He's going to be the new receiver for the Denver Broncos, ranked 15 in true value. He has hidden dev, 89 speed, 91 excel. 88 agility, 6 foot flat. I think he could be a pretty good receiver. We just need to find out how to develop him. Now we need to see if there's a good defensive lineman still available here in the 2nd round. And honestly, Gabe Bradshaw looks pretty good. 6'3", 291 pounds. So we could play him at DN and he can be a run stopper while also rushing the passer. He has A finesse moves and B block shedding, elite excel, great speed. B block shedding and A finesse moves is real tempting. It is a little early to take Gabe Bradshaw, so do I learn my lesson from what I did last year? No, I do not. We're going to take him. Rank 72 in true value, so we definitely did reach, but this guy actually has hidden dev, and I actually think he will be very good. He's going to be a starter on the defensive line day 1. I know we reached, but sometimes you just got to draft for needs, and that's what we did, and it ended up okay. We're going to go with Dan Pearson. He doesn't look crazy good, but he looks decent. And he was ranked 37 in true value, has hidden dev. He'll definitely be great rotating in on the offensive line. The CPU can have the rest of the picks. I think we did pretty decent this year, especially if you compare it to last season. We added a receiver, we added to the defensive line, and then we got a rotational offensive lineman as well. So I think we did a good job. The receiver we got is a 76 overall. We got a 73 overall D tackle, who I am going to be moving to DN, and I actually think he might go up. And no, he's a 72 overall as a DN as well. But we got a 74 overall guard, and the CPU just the bed the rest of the picks, but that's okay with me because I probably would have done the same thing. So here's how the offense is looking for year number 3. We're going to go ahead and make sure we move Hull up in the roster so that he's a starting receiver for this season. We need to get him developing as soon as possible. I don't know what I want to do with the Evan Engram Woodyard situation. I probably won't do what I did last year. I'll probably just leave Evan Engram at tight end, because he's regressing and we'll probably lose him soon, and then we can just move on to Woodyard right after. And then defensively, Bradshaw is going to be a starter on the defensive line, and outside of that, the rest of our defense looks pretty good. And one of the corners the CPU drafted a couple years ago actually a superstar, so we have a pretty good replacement for McMillan or Riley Moss if it comes time where we end up losing one of them. All right, so year 2 was a little bit rough, but I have good hopes for year number 3. Hopefully Bo Nix can just lock in and just put up some crazy numbers and just put the team on his back. Maybe Ashton Jeanty will do the same. I don't know. Let's get to the midseason of year 3. I have no idea what's going to happen. All right, and we actually started off 5-0, but then lost to the Chiefs and lost to the Lions, but those are two pretty good teams, so I'm okay with it. And we sit at 5-2 at the midseason, which is great. We have the 12th scoring offense, the 23rd scoring defense. I just cannot find the right playbook to use, but the offense isn't doing terrible. I mean, we're kind of just playing mid on both sides of the ball. But Bo Nix has thrown 18 touchdowns to only 1 interception. I will take that any day of the week. Ashton Jeanty averaging just under 4 yards a carry, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he just hasn't had like a crazy season like I would have expected out of him. Veely is actually the leading receiver as of right now with almost 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Hull as a rookie with 260 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nothing too crazy, and Evan Engram is definitely starting to regress, and we're just really not generating much pressure. I don't know what's going on. You know, whenever I changed the playbook a couple years ago, I went over here, I went to stats and awards, I went to every team's defense, I saw who was leading in sacks, that was a 3-4, and I changed to it, and it did nothing for me. I currently am using the Seahawks playbook. They're tied for second in the league in sacks. We'll try the Rams, I guess. Before re-signings, we need to bring back Talanoa Hufanga, Jonathan Cooper, DRE GREENLAW, Veely. Not too many important players, to be honest. We have a lot of money, but I definitely want to bring back Hufanga. I'm going to give him a 3-year deal worth $40.5 million, and he's going to accept. Jonathan Cooper, I don't think we're going to bring back. I like Nick Benito, and he hasn't done much, and this draft class, one of the strengths is outside linebacker, so we're going to go out and try to replace him in this year's draft. I will bring back DRE GREENLAW, though. I'm going to give him a 3-year, $40.5 million offer, and he's going to re-sign. And Devon Veely's having a good year, but he's 29 years old, and he's not interested in the team. I don't think we're going to be re-signing him. And then we'll come back to the rest of these at the end of the season as well. So let's just get to the end of the season. We actually started off this year not 1-6, so that's great. Hopefully we find ourselves in the playoffs and we can make a push for the Super Bowl. We're just going to have to find out. We're going to finish year 3, 9-8. We're going to barely squeak into the playoffs with a wild card spot, which I will not complain about, but our offense just wasn't great. Our defense just wasn't great. It just doesn't matter what playbooks I use. I just can't get this team to just be great. Bo Nix throws for just under 3,700 yards, 37 touchdowns, 5 picks. That's probably his best season so far. Ashton Jeanty with his best season so far as well, 1,200 yards, 4.5 per carry, and 8 touchdowns. I will take that. Over 1,200 yards out of Veely, probably his last season as a Bronco. He also got 14 touchdowns. 800 yards out of Marvin Mims, 10 touchdowns. And Hull wasn't great as a rookie, but I definitely won't complain about 650 yards and 7 touchdowns either. 8.5 sacks out of Nick Benito, 7.5 out of Timmy Weston. He kind of had a breakout season as a sophomore. Also got 17 TFLs. 5 sacks out of DJ Jones and 15 TFLs. And Gabe Bradshaw got 3 sacks, 11 TFLs. Definitely not going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but not the worst rookie season either. Then we got 5 picks out of Riley Moss, 5 out of Surtain, 4 out of DRE GREENLAW, 2 out of Drew Sanders, and 1 out of Brandon Jones. MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes, shocker. Offensive Player of the Year is going to go to Keon Coleman. Defensive Player of the Year is going to go to Quinnen Williams. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Emmanuel Richard for the Ravens. We came in 3rd with Jabari Hull. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Victor Franklin for the Browns. And we came all the way in 7th with Gabe Bradshaw. We do have a wild card game to get into. I'm not too confident going against the Buffalo Bills. We do have the same overall team as them, but their offense was way better in the regular season. Their defense was way better, even though we have a higher overall defense because playbooks are the only thing that matter in this game. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get this loss out of the way. I don't know how we're going to ever make a Super Bowl or anything. Okay, and we actually just somehow beat the Bills in the wild card, but of course we just have to take on the Chiefs in the divisional, so our playoff run once again is going to end here. Had the best offense in the league, had a top 10 defense. They have a 91 overall team. Let's just send to the AFC Championship and lose to the Chiefs again because we beat the Chiefs. Not only do we beat the Chiefs, we beat them by 2 touchdowns. And why are the Colts in the AFC Championship? Every rebuild I've been doing recently, Anthony Richardson just becomes a god and the Colts become one of the best teams in the league. I don't know, but this is the first team that we've played in the playoffs that we're a higher overall than, so I'm sure this is going to be the one we lose. Let's send to the Super Bowl and let's see what happens. We did make it to the AFC Championship this year, so it is technically a success anyway, but it's even more of a success when you beat the Colts in the AFC Championship and find yourself in the Super Bowl. How is this the year we make the Super Bowl? Also, Desmond Ridder is currently the starting quarterback for the Rams. So we barely squeaked past the Bills, beat them by 2. We then beat the Chiefs by 14, and then we beat the Colts by 14 as well. We're just on a dominant playoff run. We're going to be going against the Green Bay Packers here in the Super Bowl. They got a 95 overall Xavier McKinney, a 93 overall Jordan Love, and a 93 overall Josh Jacobs. They had one of the best offenses in the league, but they also had one of the worst defenses in the league, so we probably could win this game. Let's see if we got any dev-ups this season, though. No dev-ups on the offensive side of the ball. Riley Moss is going to go up to superstar on defense, though, so that's good. And the defensive line is looking a little bit better. We do kind of need a D-tackle to replace DJ Jones, and if we could get a really good one, this defense would be insane. But first priority is going to be winning this damn Super Bowl. I do want to check something. Do I have a kicker currently? I have a 65 overall kicker. What's his kick accuracy? He has 94 kick power. That's not bad. He has 67 kick accuracy. I don't know. Should we go out and sign a kicker before this gets started? I'll bring in Eddie Pinheiro. Why not? I'd rather be safe than sorry. Because if we lost on like a game-winning field goal or something like that, oh, my monitor would catch these hands. But let's go ahead and hop in. Let's play the opening drive of the Super Bowl. We'll watch it in the simulation, see what happens, and hopefully we can get a win here. And we just got to do one more season of the rebuild, try to go back-to-back like we're on the cover of Lethal Weapons, and then we'll get this video wrapped up. It's always the worse your team is, the better chance you have of making a Super Bowl. It's just how it goes every time. Green Bay gets down the field on their first drive pretty easily. It's going to get a touchdown. It's actually raining at the Super Bowl. That's interesting. But let's not forget, we have Ashton GT. I think we need to feed him the rock as much as we possibly can here on this opening drive. So let's not do anything too crazy, and let's try to get the run game going. Pick a 5 on first down. Definitely not the worst start to the game. Yeah, let's just not give us a chance. Let's just hold and make it 2nd and 15 so that I have to throw the ball and probably throw it to the defense. All right, I need to lock in here. Evan Engram, catch it, sit down. All right, we're going to get to 3rd and inches. If anybody can pick this up, it's my boy, Ashton GT. We just need some blocks and we need to not hold. That's all we need here. So let's pick up this 3rd and inches. Hopefully, that was really bad. That's honestly my fault, but we're going no huddle and we're going for this. Should I hit a PA boot slide or do I just hand it off? I think we got to hand it off. 4th and inches, you got to run the ball. We got that, right? Okay, we got that. We're good. That scared me. It is looking like we're not just going to be able to run the ball down their throats, though. This run defense is pretty good. So we're just going to have to make some smart throws, take our checkdowns when they're there. We have Evan Engram for that. That's what the Broncos brought him in for. Bo Nix needed some more checkdowns, as if he didn't have enough already. There we go. We pick up a first down there, hit Evan Engram. If I could flip this to the left, I can't. So let's just run it over here. Oh, boy. Yo, I can't run the ball. We have to throw the ball. They're making us throw the ball. This run defense is really good. Let's lock in here. Marvin Mims. What a catch. I don't know how that DB didn't react better to that and somehow pick that off, but we make it 3rd and 6. Definitely a lot more manageable. We need to pick this 3rd down up. All right, let's see what we want to do here. I think it's going to be Evan Engram. Hold on to the ball, please. Thank God. It's going to have to be Bo Nix that's going to win this game. We just literally cannot run the ball. Look at all these abilities they have here in the front 7. Yo, Veely has to be wide open on this out route, right? And he sure is. That was our #1 receiver this year for a reason. We make it 2nd and 4. I mean, I'm trying to get the ground game going here. It's just not working. Oh, there's so much free space there. Oh, come on. You gotta... How do I have a lead blocker and he just sprints straight to the outside instead of going in that hole with me? Yo, what did I just say? I think on 3rd and 2 here, you got to put it on the ground. There's a pretty nice little gap I think we could fit through. Yo, Kenny Clark is just dominating, but we're 4th and inches. We gotta run the ball here. We gotta double team Kenny Clark because he's been a problem. If we don't pick this up, this is gonna be really bad. Oh, that should be a touchdown. Get in there, GT. We got it down to the 1-yard line. This is a long drive, but this is a good defense. So I'm trying. How is this one of the worst defenses in the league, though? That's crazy. We need you to put it in here, GT. Just put it in me. Get in there. Touchdown, Broncos. We're gonna tie it up 7-7. Let's see what the Packers do on their next drive. We actually get a stop. We are kind of backed up on our own territory, though, but we're going to go into halftime 7-7 and open up with the ball. Can we please get a good drive going? We do not, but Riley Moss intercepted. That should be a touchdown. We go 14-7. Packers are going to tie it at 14, get a touchdown. We're getting down the field again. We're going to take a touchdown lead. Packers tie at 21-21. I think it's only right I hop in and play this game-winning drive, try to get us into field goal range. GT, go. Get out of bounds. We got 10 seconds, 3 timeouts to get probably about 20 more yards, I would say. Don't really know what... Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. There's so much free space. Go, GT. Go, 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 go. All right, 5 seconds, 2 timeouts. We're getting pretty close to field goal range here. I don't know why it's telling me to run Hail Mary. This is the worst game ever created. We could get a decent amount of yardage here. I think we look for Engram in the seam. I think he's going to be there. Get down, get down, get down. Get down! Get... Now it's going to go into overtime. Great, man. Gotta be kidding me. I'm letting the CPU play out overtime because that was stupid, bro. All right, so we are going to be starting off with the ball on offense in overtime. Let's see what the Broncos can do. We get down. We get a field goal. We're going to lose from... Yeah, we lost. All we were able to get was a field goal against the worst defense in the league. Evan Engram not going down on that seam shot. Like, Bo Nix put it exactly where he needed to. All Evan Engram had to do was get down. But I got the worst animation ever where I just can't hit the ground, and we're going to lose a Super Bowl like that. That's just so crazy, bro. That's actually so stupid. 5 seconds, I instantly throw a seam, and Evan Engram isn't able to get down. Are you kidding me, bro? All right, well, we're going to do one more season. We're going to try to make our way back to the Super Bowl. I don't know, man. I really feel like we should have won that. That's so sad, man. That was our year. I don't think we're going to make it back to the Super Bowl. I guess let's see who we need to re-sign here. We'll pick up the 5th year for Ashton Jeanty. We're going to let Jonathan Cooper go. Maybe there will be a really good pass rusher in free agency. If not, we have 2 first-rounders to hopefully trade up and get one. We're going to let Devon Veely go. We're going to let Jonah Ellis go. I think we're pretty much going to let everybody here go. We'll try to get a better tackle than McGlinchey, and if there isn't one, we'll just re-sign him in free agency. Same with Taylor Moton. We're definitely losing a lot of offensive linemen, but the hope is that a lot of them will hit free agency like they normally do. So let's just see. Oh, I'm so sad we didn't win that, man. That should have been ours. Let's see who's available in free agency here. See, we could use Xavier Worthy, but of course he's not interested in the team. However, he has no offers, and we have a lot of money. So in free agency, we're going to try to bring in Xavier Worthy. We're going to go for Dominic Pooney and Joe Tooney. Joe Tooney is probably going to slide out to tackle, and then Taylor Moton we're going to bring back to be our other tackle. So we need Xavier Worthy to accept wave 1, because if he doesn't, he's going to get other offers, and I don't think we'll be able to compete. So let's just send these offers through and see what happens here. And all 4 players sign. We got all 4. We're going to slide Joe Tooney out to guard. I know it wasn't the best move when Kansas City did that, but we need a tackle right now, and I'd rather not have to draft one whenever my goal is to trade up and get a pass rusher. And there were some okay pass rushers, but they were all just old and washed, so we're going to try to draft a young one and set this team's future up perfectly. So here's how the offense is looking before the draft. We made the offensive line way better, so that's good. We still have Evan Engram and Woodyard. We made the receiving core better by adding Xavier Worthy. So we have Xavier Worthy and Marvin Mims on the outside. We have such a fast receiving core, and we still have Tez Johnson as well. We're going to play Joe Tooney at tackle. We'll see how that goes. Ashton Jeanty's been playing good. So if we can go out and get a pass rusher this year, and then I don't really know what we're going to do about D-tackle. I probably should have signed one out of free agency. I don't know. First priority is pass rusher. And there's one round 1 talent. He doesn't look crazy, but he's around 1 to 2 projection, so I do think we should be able to get him pretty easily in the first round. Yeah, and he's not projected to go until pick 30. Which we do pick at 31, but we also pick at 26. So I think the play is going to be take the pass rusher at 26, trade pick 31 for a D-tackle. That's what we're going to do here. So we are going to be getting Max Conley here in the first round. Only 21 years old at Oregon State, elite excel, great speed, A finesse moves, A to B awareness. He's a round 1 talent. This is going to be a good pick. He's going to be a starting pass rusher for us, ranked 21 in true value. Why would he have a dev trade? Why would he? It's okay. It's not going to affect how he plays that much this year. It's just going to affect his progression, which we're not too concerned about right now. So let's go out and trade for a pretty good D-tackle that we could get with a 31st overall pick. So we're going to give up pick 31, our 4th and our 5th round pick, for a 30-year-old 93 overall Quinnen Williams. He's going to come in and be the D-tackle 1, hopefully be what we need to take this defense to the next level. I feel like our current needs are all addressed. So I'm going to let the CPU have the 2nd and 3rd round, because this is probably going to be the last season, and I only had to restructure 1 contract to trade for Quinnen Williams. We didn't trade any draft picks for next year. Bo Nix is still young. We set this team up for a very bright future, and we're coming off of a Super Bowl appearance. We just need to find a way to make it back next year, which, by the way, is very unlikely because making Super Bowls in this game is hard. I wonder what overall our pass rusher was, though. 75. I don't know why he doesn't have a dev trait. You know what? It's the last year of the video, and it's my channel, so I'm going to give him a dev trait. So I went ahead and gave him hidden dev. It's only star dev, so it's really not going to make that much of a difference, but at least now, by the time we get to the playoffs, he can be like an 80-ish overall, because if he was normal dev, he literally just wouldn't develop whatsoever. The CPU did go out and get us a D-tackle anyways, which helps for the team's future even more, because when we lose Quinnen Williams, we have his replacement. They got us a middle linebacker, which would end up being DRE Greenlaw's replacement. So the CPU did a good job drafting for the team's future. So here's the roster going into the final year. We built a pretty good offensive line for Bo Nix for this season, especially the interior. So Ashton Jeanty should go crazy. We gave him a new wide receiver 1 in Xavier Worthy, and he has a very good receiving core outside of that, including Evan Engram and Woodyard. And then defensively, we add Quinnen Williams at D-tackle. We drafted a new pass rusher alongside Nick Bonito. Our secondary still is insane. So let's go ahead. Let's get straight to the end of year 4, I believe. We already have 1 Super Bowl appearance. We're sitting at a 91 overall before the season's even started, so we could be like a 92 or 93 with morale if we have a good season. So let's get to the end of the season. Hopefully we find ourselves hosting a playoff game. All right, and we're going to end up finishing year 4, 12-5. We actually are coming off of 2 losses going into the playoffs, which is not what you like to see, but we did finally win the division. We do unfortunately have to take on the Ravens in the wild card, which is a very losable game. We are a higher overall team. We had a better defense. They had a better offense. So this should be a pretty good game. Before we hop in, we will take a quick look for the stats on the year. Bo Nix threw just under 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns, 9 picks. Another great season out of him. Ashton Jeanty goes for 1,300 yards, average almost 5 per carry and 11 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. Marvin Mims goes for 1,011 touchdowns. Hull with 850, 9 touchdowns. Evan Engram with almost 500 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. And then we finally generated some good pressure. 14.5 sacks out of Quinnen Williams, 11 out of Timmy Weston, 10.5 out of Nick Benito. And Max Conley as a rookie with 5.5 sacks, that's definitely not bad at all. How come when I drafted Weston as a rookie, he couldn't have been this good? He just had to learn how to play out of nowhere. MVP goes to Mahomes. Yeah, it's just going to happen every year. We came in 9th with Bo Nix. Offensive Player of the Year is going to go to Lamar Jackson. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Deion Walker. We came in 6th with Quinnen Williams, and then I don't even remember who we drafted. So who cares about Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year? If we get first rounded here in the wild card, I'll consider doing another season. We're just going to have to see what happens and if I'm able to keep the team together, but hopefully we'll just beat the team that we're a higher overall than in the wild card. That would be pretty cool too. Yeah, you know, I could have predicted that. Let's see if I can keep this team together for one more season. The Colts just made it to another Super Bowl, but they lose to the Eagles. So Jalen Hurts is just becoming one of the best quarterbacks of all time in this rebuild. So Evan Engram regressed a lot. Both of our tackles retired. Outside of that, the offense is still looking okay. Benito goes up to superstar. Conley developed a decent amount. I don't know. It's just going to come down to these contracts because we have to pay Bo Nix as well. So if we only have $70 million too. So if we have to pay Bo Nix like $40-50 million a year, we're not going to be able to bring everybody back. So let's see what happens. Bo Nix is asking for about $46 million a year, and he's not interested. So we're going to give him $54 million a year for 5 years, and he's going to resign, which means we're probably going to lose Quinn Miners. We could probably barely afford to bring back Josh Kruth, except he's going to test out free agency, because why not? I'm not going to pick up Weston's 5th year because this is going to be the last season. We'll let Jaquan McMillan go. We have a replacement for him. We're probably going to let Evan Engram go. He's regressed a lot. And you know, we're actually able to hold on to a little over $20 million, and we could restructure a couple deals. So we could bring back Miners or Krutz in free agency as well. All right, so I restructured like probably 4 or 5 contracts, and I was able to get us up to $46 million to work with. Our offensive line sucks right now, so that's first priority. However, I do need to keep in mind if we could try to be as cheap as possible, that would be best case scenario. So we're going to try to bring in Jordan Mailata to be our new starting tackle. We're going to bring in Mekhi Becton, who isn't going to be as good as Miners, but we need a guard, and he can definitely hold his own. And then we'll bring back Evan Engram on a 1-year deal. He won't even be the starting tight end anymore, but screw it. We really need to get Mailata, though. Let's send these offers through. Got Mekhi Becton, Mailata, and Evan Engram both haven't signed yet, but we're still the only offer for both of them. We get Evan Engram, and Jordan Mailata is now getting targeted by the Panthers. I might need to restructure another contract and make sure we can afford to try to get him. You know, I was trying to avoid restructuring Bo Nix's deal right after re-signing him to keep it realistic, but I really want to get Jordan Mailata, so screw that. So we now have the top offer for Jordan Mailata. We'll send this through, and why would he sign with us? I guess we're going for Bernard Raymond, I guess. And we're his only offer. We'll go ahead and send this through, see if he wants to sign. I don't have any more reveal offers left, so we're just going to give him a pretty good deal, send him to free agency, and just hope that we end up getting him. So it's definitely getting sketchy, man. It is getting sketchy. And all that stuff I said earlier about not ruining the team's future, we basically did because we restructured a bunch of contracts. So that's good. I'm doing all of this to still probably not win a Super Bowl this year. So that's the coolest part. All right, so we did get Raymond. We still do need another tackle, which I'll make sure we do use our first round pick on. But outside of that, the offense does look very good still. And then the defense, I would say, is damn near perfect. So we definitely don't need to mess with this at all. So let's just go in, draft an offensive tackle in the first round, and let the CPU handle the rest of the draft. And then we'll get the actual final year started. We're going to go with Luke Christmas. What a nice name. Only 21 years old, 6'7", had elite strength, ranked 80th in true value. Bad pick, and he has normal depth, but whatever. We basically just drafted Evan Neal. Let's CPU have the rest of the draft. Whatever, man. All right, and here we are with the actual final roster. We do have a 72 overall rookie at right tackle, so hopefully Bo Nix doesn't get killed this season. But outside of that, the rest of the offense is filled out with very good players, so I do still think we're setting Bo Nix up for success. And maybe if you didn't pay him over $50 million a year, we would have been able to build him a better offensive line. But you can see the defense. It's just beautiful. Let's get straight to the playoffs again. Let's see how this team does. We did win the division last year, but then lost in the wild card, so hopefully some shit like that doesn't happen again. Let's see how this team does this year. And before we check in how the team team does in the last season, I wanted to let you know that if you subscribe right now, you could have a chance to win a free NFL jersey. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, take a screenshot and send it to me on Instagram, which will be at the top of the screen right now. There will also be a link in the description that you could click on. And if I get a screenshot of you being one of the first 1,000 subscribers to the channel, you'll be entered into a giveaway for a free NFL jersey. And I'll be announcing the winner of that when we do hit 1,000 subs. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure I get that screenshot on Instagram. You could always be the winner, you never know. But let's get back to the rest of the video. All right, we end up going 12-5 again in year number 5. We do win the division again, which is great to see. We had a pretty decent offense, and we had one of the best defenses in the league. We do have to go against a pretty good team in Pittsburgh here in the wild card round. So hopefully we can win that game, but let's take a look at our stats real quick. It's kind of looking like this is Bo Nix's ceiling in the playbook we've been using. Just under 4,000 yards, 30-ish touchdowns, 7 to 9 interceptions, which is great from a quarterback. I will definitely take that. Ashton Jinty with another 1,300-yard season, averaged almost 5 yards a carry and got 17 touchdowns. And we didn't have a single 1,000-yard receiver this year. Xavier Worthy goes for 990 and 7 touchdowns. Jabari Hole, 900 yards, 11 touchdowns. Marvin Mims, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns. So definitely an interesting season. We spread the ball around pretty well, though. I normally don't pay attention to offensive line numbers because they suck. I am curious how our rookie tackle played, though. See, and this is why I don't pay attention to these numbers. Dan Pearson, an 80 overall guard, so he's not great, but he's a guard, allowed 11 sacks. However, Christmas allowed 8, which in real life wouldn't be very good, but in Madden is actually really good. And another great year out of our defense, Quentin Williams goes for 13 sacks, 12 TFLs, 9 sacks out of Benito, 8.5 out of Timmy Weston, and 3 out of Gabe Badgesaw. 3 picks out of Greenlaw, Surtain, and Riley Moss. We got 2 out of Drew Sanders, and then 1 out of a decent amount of players. I definitely don't think we won any awards, so I'm not even going to worry checking them. We're just going to go ahead, hop into this wildcard game against the Steelers. We got first rounded last year after winning our division. If that could not be the case this year, that would be pretty cool. We do have the same overall team, but we won more games and we're playing at home, so we should win. But we don't. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. You know, I tried my best to get that Super Bowl for y'all. We did have one appearance, and I feel like we really should have won that game. That really sucked. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you're watching Bronco. I know you haven't commented in a while, but I hope you're still hanging around, and I hope you enjoyed that it only took me a year to get your Broncos rebuild made for you. But once again, leave in the comments any rebuild you want to see next if you also want to have your comment put in a video. And if you made it this far, you clearly enjoyed, so please make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to send me that screenshot on Instagram. That's going to be all for this one. Thanks for watching. Deuces.